Okay, so have you ever, like, imagined a house where, I don't know, you've got like this whirlwind of emotions meeting, like a total strategic mastermind.
Hmm.
We're going deep on this document about a marriage that is kind of exactly that.
Oh, wow.
ENFP wife and INTJ husband,
Okay.
raising 6 kids.
Wow. 6 kids.
Yeah. And to make it even more interesting, like all of this is happening in the Frum Yeshiva world,
Okay.
which has, it's a whole other layer of traditions and expectations and everything.
That's fascinating. Like such a vibrant mix of personalities and then with that cultural context too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to figure out, like, how does this all work? How do these two contrasting personalities actually, like, shape how their family functions? Like, what were the challenges? What were the wins? How did their kids see all of this? And ultimately, like, what can we learn from this whole story?
Yeah, I think before we jump into all of that, it might be helpful to kind of like paint a picture like what do these personality types even look like in real life?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So the ENFP wife, think like vibrant, spontaneous, just like a whirlwind of emotions.
Uh-huh.
Like, the type who just like lights up a room and connects with people instantly. Probably has like a million different creative projects all going at the same time.
Yeah, it's like you walk into their house and it's just this explosion of Color Kids artwork everywhere. There's music playing. There's the smell of something amazing cooking. And she's just like in the middle of it all, like effortlessly juggling everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And now picture the INTJ husband.
Yeah.
He's the strategist, the planner, the one who always sees the long game. He's not, necessarily the most outwardly like emotional person,
Hmm.
but he expresses his love through like thoughtful actions and like, creating a stable environment for everybody.
Yeah, he's probably the one who has like the family finances perfectly organized in
Yeah.
spreadsheets,
Mhm.
the vacations planned down to the minute, has like a 20-year plan for like their future.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean he's not like deeply invested in his family. It's just like a different way of showing it.
Yeah, totally. And the document definitely like highlights these differences in their parenting styles.
Yeah.
So the mother, she just naturally connects with the kids on like an emotional level, offering warmth and empathy.
Right.
And meanwhile, the father is focused on like structure and planning, making sure that the kids have everything that they need to succeed in life.
Okay.
And it makes you think, like, how did those different approaches land with their 6 kids?
Right. Right.
Especially in a world where maybe, like, expressing emotions openly isn't, like, as common.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where things get, like, really interesting.
Okay.
The document mentions that some of the children, especially those who, like, really craved that open emotional connection, they actually felt a distance from their father.
Oh, wow.
Like his way of showing love wasn't as like obvious to them. You know what I
Well, it
mean?
really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many times have we all felt misunderstood because the way we were showing affection wasn't like received the way we intended?
Exactly. Yeah.
So this family story is such a good example of how like love can like speak in different dialects.
Yeah. And was it that the father didn't love his children like deeply?
Right.
It's just that his love, it manifested in actions, in providing stability, in planning for their future.
Hmm.
But for some of the kids, that just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
They yearned for that like more overt like expression of affection.
Right. Which highlights like a real challenge for families, right?
Mhm.
Navigating all of those different like emotional needs and landscapes. Because
Right.
even with the best intentions, like, a parent's love can unintentionally cause like hurt feelings
Right.
if it's not expressed in a way that the child understands.
Totally. And that's where the ENFP mother, like she steps in.
Okay.
The document describes her as like this bridge between her husband and their children, explaining his actions, his intentions, helping them see, his love through like a different lens.
Yeah, she becomes this like amazing translator of emotions.
Yes.
Helping her children decode like their father's love language.
Totally. Totally. It's like she's saying to them, look, Dad might not, say I love you all the time
Yeah.
or in the same way that I do.
Right.
But everything he does, like every sacrifice he makes, every plan he meticulously crafts, it's all because he loves you guys so much.
It's so powerful. It's a reminder that sometimes we need like someone to help us like interpret those actions
Yeah.
of the people that we love, especially when like their way of showing affection is so different from our own.
Yeah. And it makes you think, like, how did the kids eventually, like, understand their father's love?
Right.
Did those feelings of, resentment eventually kind of, like, fade?
No.
Or did they, like, learn to appreciate, like, his own unique way of showing that he cared?
Yeah, it's such a universal question, right?
Yeah.
That need to like bridge the gap between those different ways of like expressing love, especially like across generations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's something I think we should definitely like explore more as we, dive deeper into their story.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really fascinating, like this whole idea that, there's only one right way to be,
Right.
one right way to think, or even to love,
Yeah,
This family story really kind of throws that out the window.
totally.
And it really makes you think about how, different doesn't automatically equal deficient.
Absolutely. You're so right. And it's really about like recognizing those differences as strengths, you know?
Hmm.
And the document points out how this couple really did exactly that. You
Uh-huh.
know, it's not like they just tolerated each other's differences.
Right.
They actually figured out how to like make them work for them.
Yeah. That's such a like crucial shift, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, imagine the ENFP wife, right? Bringing all that like energy and spontaneity to the home.
Uh-huh.
Maybe like shaking things up when the INTJ husband gets like a little too stuck in his routines.
I can see that. Yeah.
And then, you have him grounding her with his like strategic thinking,
Yeah.
his stable presence,
Yeah.
They balance each other out in a way that like just wouldn't be possible if they were exactly the same.
It really makes you think about like all those classic, relationship tropes,
Yeah.
like opposites attract and, you complete me, all that stuff.
Right.
But this isn't just like some romantic ideal, right?
Yeah.
This is an actual practical example of how like contrasting personalities can actually create like a way stronger partnership.
Totally. And it goes beyond like just the romantic relationship too.
Mhm.
Like think about how this dynamic might play out in their parenting.
Right.
Maybe the ENFP mother is encouraging the kids to like, paint, do theater, explore their creative sides.
Yeah.
And then the INTJ father's like, okay, but let's also develop some like critical thinking skills here.
Yeah.
It's like they're each contributing this unique piece to the puzzle of like raising well-rounded humans.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Of course, like navigating those differences, I'm sure wasn't always like easy.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Definitely not.
Like, picture this. The ENFP wife, like, bursting in, super excited about, like, this last-minute trip idea.
Okay, yeah.
And the INTJ husband is like, whoa, 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 I need time to, like, process this. I need to plan. I need to make, like, a spreadsheet or two.
Oh, yeah. I could see that leading to some, like, definite tension.
Ah.
You got that spontaneous, let's just go,
Yeah.
clashing with, hold on, we need a detailed itinerary.
Yes.
And we need to, like, pack accordingly.
Exactly, yeah. And that's where, like, the document's emphasis on communication, that really comes into play. Like, it's not about one person, like, changing who they are to fit the other person's mold. It's about, like, learning how to say what you need and what you prefer and, like, really listen to your partner's perspective, even when it feels, like, totally foreign to you.
It's almost like learning a new language,
Totally.
right? You might, like, stumble at first, make a few mistakes.
Uh-huh.
But with patience and like practice, you can start to understand and even appreciate those nuances of like a totally different way of thinking.
Yeah, and sometimes, it might even mean finding like a compromise.
Yeah.
Maybe the ENFP wife agrees to give her husband a little bit more of a heads up before she springs like a last minute trip on him.
Yeah.
And he like works on being a little bit more open to, spontaneous thing.
Right, right. Exactly. It's about finding that like that sweet spot where both people feel like respected and valued,
Mm-hmm.
even if it means like stepping outside of their comfort zone a little bit.
Totally, totally. And the amazing thing is, this couple actually pulled it off,
Mm-hmm.
They built a successful marriage, raised 6 kids, and like managed to navigate all the complexities of family life while like staying true to their own personalities.
It's really inspiring.
It really is. It shows that those differences, the things that might initially feel like obstacles, can actually become the foundation for something like truly remarkable.
Yeah, totally. And it's not just limited to romantic relationships either.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like these lessons apply to friendships, family dynamics, even how we interact with our colleagues at work.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know,
Yeah.
if you can learn to appreciate and even leverage like the different perspectives and approaches of the people around you,
Yeah.
you're opening yourself up to a world of possibilities.
That's so true.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
creating like this environment where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued for who they are, quirks and all.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of brings us to the big question here.
Okay.
You know, what does this all mean for you, the listener?
It's really amazing to see like how this family story, it's rooted in this specific culture and all that.
Yeah.
But like it has these universal truths about relationships just kind of woven all through it.
Totally. You hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
Their experience really does like drive home that key message from the document.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding and adapting to like each other's personality differences.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the secret sauce
Right.
for successful and happy relationships.
It's like they took this idea of like opposites attract
Yeah.
and turned it into an actual blueprint
Yeah.
for like building a strong, lasting connection.
And I think a big part of why it worked for them is because they were willing to like actually see things from the other person's point of view.
Right.
You know, it's so easy to get stuck in our own way of thinking,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it comes to something as like personal as how we, give and receive love.
For sure. Yeah. We can all relate to that. Like, we show affection in the way that feels, natural to us,
Yeah,
but it doesn't always, like, land the way we intended it to.
exactly. And this couple, even though, like, I'm sure they had their ups and downs,
Yeah.
they learned how to step outside of their comfort zones and see the world through each other's eyes.
Yeah.
And that's
Or
where the
do.
real magic happens.
It's like you're suddenly understanding this language
Yes.
that you never even spoke before.
Right.
You can actually appreciate, like, the beauty and the depth of what the other person is trying to say.
And that understanding, it breeds empathy, connection, and like a deeper appreciation
Yeah.
for all those differences that at first might have felt like obstacles.
It's so true. Their story reminds us that relationships aren't about like finding a carbon copy of ourselves. It's about finding someone who complements us, who challenges us,
Right.
who helps us see the world in a totally different way.
It's like taking those two like seemingly mismatched puzzle pieces
Yep.
and suddenly realizing they fit perfectly together,
Yes.
to make a more complete, more beautiful picture.
I love that. So as we leave you with this thought,
Yeah.
we encourage you to take a look at your own relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the people in your life who have totally different personalities than you.
Yes.
How can you apply what we've learned from this family to those connections?
How can you shift from just like tolerating those differences to truly like understanding and appreciating them?
Because when we embrace the full spectrum of who we are
Yeah.
and who other people are, like without judgment,
Mm-hmm.
without needing everyone to fit into the same mold, that's where the real like beauty of human connection is.
It's in that space, right?
Yeah.
Of acceptance and understanding that relationships can really like flourish and grow.
So keep diving deep
Yeah.
into your own relationships, keep exploring, keep learning.
Yes.
And keep embracing the beauty of human connection in all its, wonderfully messy and diverse forms.
Sound like it.
Until next time.